No idea the condition that we're in, the psychoneurosis that we suffer. We suffer a terrible, terrible blight. We don't know who we are. We use European names, and we just are comfortable with our condition. We really don't know who we are. We have no idea. We're captive. And we absolutely comfortable with this situation.
Like I said, you go to the history of European civilizations. 250 years is how long they last before they implode, because of their greed, because of their violence, because of an inability to let others be, including themselves. If they didn't have brown and black people to hate, they would hate themselves.
Heavy, I'm a walking dead man, is what they call me when I'm coming. I hit the loot juice, it pulls up in the deuce. Heavy, I'm a walking dead man, is what they call me when I'm coming. I hit the loot juice, it pulls up in the deuce. I hit.
Your lines are still open. Oh shit, you can get it, nigga. You wanna get it?
I think we OD. I think we OD.
The Chinese platform, you already know they don't give a fuck about your black ass.
Come with baggage, just nice, Louis Vuitton.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, that was nice.
I like that.
Bitch niggas, hoe niggas, rich niggas, broke bitch. I told niggas this was on, yeah, right here.
Decent white folk that still don't know they're racist.
Damn white boys out there. Most of them are psychopaths and all that. They'll kill your mama.
What the hell you want here, hunky?
You got to pray to God and tell God your rent due. Any God that didn't know your rent was due ain't God.
Some people, they feel like you almost have to sell your soul to get fame, or is it just hard work, or is it luck, is it consequence, is it?
No, most of us done sold our soul. We just called it something else.
Hmm.
Nigga get mad. Say, motherfucker, what you mean you ain't gonna let me in this funky joint? Much money I done spent in here, nigga. I knew your mama when she was hoeing. Hump, baby. Shit, bet I do it over time. Fade that, nigga. Shit. Bet the ball. Off time. Shit, boy, I'm trying to make me some money. Boy, I'm hungry as a hog needs slop Jesus. Shit, gotta be a Jesus, cause too many black folks.
My bitches. You saying you can't control your bitches? What? You got to have vision. You got to have vision. You got to have vision.
Limousine, and every time I'm seen, I got to be clean.
It's going down like this, motherfucker.
Greetings. This is Big Pontiac, and welcome
to the Chocolate Mountain Show. I am the holder of the infinite sacred ball game that was created by the Hero Twins. And I am that one and only Galactic Daddy-O, welcoming each and every one of you to my galactic patio that reaches from Minnesota to the universe. I almost forgot what I had to do to come on in here and say what's happening. So what's happening in here? I don't really want to spell anybody but this is 25. And you know, like what's fucked up about, as they say, this time changes, these dates change, this year changes. It just puts a marker on when you die. Think about it like that. Anybody that dies in the next couple weeks or this whole year, that's what they put on your tombstone. So is that really something to celebrate? That's something worth celebrating? So I don't know if that's, to me, that seems kind of an oxymoron kind of deal. As I've said before, you know, my wife and I go back, nobody will do it. But really, if people said, fuck you, we ain't changing the year. Matter of fact, we could even go further than that. Say, we give you motherfuckers 20 days, and the 20 days plays again. After 20 days, it go 20 more days. It's just 20 days. It's what day is this? 20 days. I mean, if the people would decide, what choice would they have but to go to the will of the people? See, and that's what we forget is we the people have the power. And we stay in a point of government where, they're playing all type of games because they scared us. I mean, that's really what it boils down to. All that shit they put in DC, they scared of us. And as I'm saying, everything that Trump is about to install, or everything that's coming, the Democrats really wanted this. They just wanted to keep the image up. But it's all these occupiers. This is, their plans all the time. They want to put the blame on a certain group, but it's all of them. That's how the occupiers do it. Again, it's always divide and conquer. And it's so sad that they even divide their own people. Well, let me burn some incense for a minute. I got the door shut, but my wife says when the heat comes on, it kicks the incense on. It puts incense in the whole house. But whoa. I'll play it for a little while and then I'll kill it. Ooh, it's cherry. I think that's one of my favorite fragrances, cherry. I think I like cherry more than I like strawberry. Doesn't it look like sparkler and shit though on the camera? Oh, the motherfucker didn't even light. You bullshit. This motherfucker looks like a sparkler. I think that'll do it. Here we go. To the east, to the north, to the south, to the west, to the south, above, below, and the center. Motherfucker, get your ass up in there. All right, there we go. Well, if anybody doesn't know who I am, my name is Big Pontiac, and this is the Chocolate Mountain Show. And, I guess for my own personal, my other channel was on, and I think it was still the Chocolate Mountain Show. I think, I don't know. I have to, there's very little to look back on. I have to look at the ones I saved, the few shows that got saved, to see what it was called. But I thought it was called the Chocolate Mountain Show then. I'm pretty sure it was on my other channel. But this is the 5th year. Yeah, because Biden killed my other channel, 2nd, 3rd. I think it was the 2nd, 3rd of January. So this is 5 years on this channel. So guess I can pat my back on a little bit. And, I'm going to say this, and I know they monitor this shit, but it's like, I be looking at how many people, time to time, everybody looks at how much action or people view their shows. And it's like one day I'll come and it'd be so many views. Then the next day I'll come it'll show a different number. It's like a couple days it'll show one number, then it'll show another number. And then all of a sudden it shows that I lost 10 subscribers. So like 10 motherfuckers got together. It's like, hey, he said something offensive. The world don't seem to appear to work like that. So that's all, manipulated. And it was like the way they killed my channel. Again, it could have been AI, but it felt like it was somebody there waiting on the trigger if he says anything. And all I said was what happened to my doctor. All I said is how she got a little bit of sick when she took that stuff, but the other person she worked with got sick for about a month. That's what I said. And my channel went. So if you're talking about censorship, and that channel was from 14 to 20. So this one is almost caught up with how long that one has come. And, I must say, I've come a long way from my dining room in my apartment to this place. I've come a long way. There's more I could do. I don't know if I'm going to do it. I don't come on here enough to, to go all out. I just don't come on here enough. I think this is fine, So anyway, greetings to everyone for sure. And we've got Dr. Sinister. Thank you. Thank you so much. Kind words.
You can't get too close to Michael. It's a foul.
And then we've got Jamar, 3224.
You can't get too close to Michael. It's a foul.
And then we got El Dragon, Amaroon Khan, and the Calm. Thank you for joining.
You can't get too close to Michael. It's a foul.
That's right. You can't get too close to Michael. That's how Magic fucked him up. But I hope, personally, I watched the game last night. Now, I wanted to go to the casino, and the casino had a club in it, but if you got into the club before 9, you didn't have to pay. Or no, not the casino, but the casino. But the casino had a club in it with live music and a DJ. And if you got into the club before 9, it was free. But if you didn't, it was $70 a ticket. So if you wanted to come late, you had to pay more. And so the game ended I live about half hour from the casino. And so the game had got over. It was close to 10. My son went, him and his mother came and picked me up because I had told her that I was going to go. And so her and her man came and picked me up. And then they picked my son up and they went out there. It was like, I thought you was going to go. You guys aren't dressed. And I did want to bust out my mean coat and, kind of flex out there, just being clean. You know what they say, every lady likes a sharp dressed man. And, I kind of wanted to do that. But on the other hand, it was like, man, the game got off. It was 10. And so then one of my in-laws came over and we just chilled. We really just chilled. And so, matter of fact, I think I was the one that went to bed early. I went to bed around 2 because I stayed up the night before. So, I stayed up long enough to, hear I stayed next to a ski hill and they went all out because they party too. The ski hill, it has its own club, own restaurant. And so they have a big party and they did fireworks for about 15 minutes. It's funny, Minneapolis, the city, the first year I was here and saw fireworks, it was like they do fireworks for 5 minutes. That's how broke they kind of was. It's like 5 minutes worth of fireworks. Not these motherfuckers over here. They did a good 15 to 20, maybe even 25 minutes. That shit, they blew a couple up. That shit rattled the windows. I wasn't out there to see it. It was too goddamn cold, but somebody saw it. But it wasn't worth me going out there like, you seen, one firework, you've seen them all. And I've blown mortars up my damn self, so I wasn't impressed. I wasn't really impressed. But, and it's funny, this is like one of the many spells. Like this whole Christmas thing is a spell. As I said, they have to use our energy to come into this new year. So that's why they build it up from Thanksgiving. They really build it up because they need our energy. If you can dig. And so, it's like this is the time of year where we feed the beast. So we feed the beast. And again, whatever you want to call it, it is a different set of numbers you got to work with your checks. And all that shit. I mean, everything is you got to use the numbers. There's just no way to get around it. This is the numbers that you're forced to use now. And if you die, this is numbers they're going to chisel into your shit. you know, and forever be, well, that's when the motherfucker died, you know. And even that gets fainter and fainter over the years, you know. And all it really boils down to is you just do your thing and be the best person you can be. That's all I think, you know, anything could ask is you just be the best person that you can be. I do want to talk shit. I told y'all that Ohio State was my sleeper pick to win it all. And what happened? They kicked them motherfuckers' ass. I told y'all that. Trying to think where I wrote it down. Yeah, I got it right here. See? Ohio State. See that? Ohio State. Now I lost Texas. No, I did not lose Texas. I won Ohio State and I won Texas. I won Penn, and then they canceled. You know, the other game comes on tomorrow. So I got, as I mentioned, I got Notre Dame and Penn, and then I've got Texas and Ohio State because they kind of like they wanted Texas to win because the helmet to helmet was obvious helmet to helmet. Now, I don't know if the helmet to helmet was that it was earlier. I don't know if that's, you know, that was their way of evening it out because they were Big Ten officials. I've seen them officials a bunch of times this year. But that call that would have lost the game for Texas was helmet to helmet. And they call helmet to helmet. That game is over. Texas loses. And then the way I'm breaking it down between Penn State, Notre Dame, and Texas and Ohio State, I'm still going with Ohio State. As I said, that's my sleeper to win it all. And then between Penn State, Notre Dame, it's you know, we got time to think about that. But I think Penn State is a little stronger. So I'm going to go Penn State. And between Penn State and Ohio State wins it all. Because that was the only scenario that would save the coach's job was Penn State to win. So, you know, that's on wax. So this week's picks, week 18, this is the final week. And even as I said, last week, I end up going 13-3. I went 13-3 last week, which puts me at 177-71 for the year. And even if I lose all these games, I still am very high percentage of being right without gematria. And that's no throw to them, but they act like they the only motherfuckers that can handicap and they can pick games. So starting off, I got the Browns and the Ravens, and I'm going with the Ravens. And what's fucked up is this week is like a lot of teams might not play everybody. A lot of rookies might play, or a lot of special teams people might play, or practice team players might play. Chargers and the Raiders, I got the Chargers. Bengals and the Steelers, I'll say they both need this game, but I don't like the Bengals, so I'm going to say Steelers. I think the Bengals are going to win, though. I will say that. Cards and 49ers, I'm going Cards at home. Falcons and Panthers, oh man, the Falcons aren't that bad. I'm going Falcons at home. Browns and Chiefs, I don't know if Chiefs are resting people, but even if they rest people, they still should beat these motherfuckers. And then we got where am I at? Seahawks and the Rams. I say Rams at home. We got the Titans and Texans. I've really liked the Texans all year. And I think the Texans was eliminated. Giants and Eagles. Even if the Eagles don't play everybody, they still should beat these motherfuckers. And then we got the Jags and the Colts. See, the Colts, that was some bullshit that they won. That was some really bullshit game that they won. They're not that strong. But I'm going to go with the Colts on the road, or Colts at home. Vikings and Lions. I say the Vikings beat these motherfuckers. Lions are pretty banged up. Cowboys and Commanders. Commanders need it more. Got the Commanders. Bears and Packers, an easy one. Packers. Dolphins and Jets. Dolphins, I think, are they starting Rodgers this week? Damn, I'm a no Dolphin smelling motherfucker, boy. did the same thing again. I got the Dolphins, the Bucks, and the Saints. I've got the Bucks at home. And then to end the season, I've got the Bills and Pats. So the Bears and Lions are Vikings and Lions are I think that's the late game. I think that's the late game tomorrow. I think the Vikings are the late game. So I don't know if I have them in the right order for the Monday night game. Because I thought the late game was the Vikings and Cowboys. I'm pretty sure that's the late game Sunday. So to go over Ravens, Chargers, Steelers, Cards, Falcons, Chiefs, Rams, Texans, Eagles, Colts, Vikings, Commanders, Packers, Dolphins, Bucks, and Bills. So I've been on here. You can go 18 weeks back. I've been doing this for 18 weeks, and you can see my record is 177 and 71. I think it was 200 and some, what is that? 220, let's see, that would be 248? 248 games, something like that. So that's what I got on wax. And, I'd like to share, let's see, who else is here? Oregon definitely got dog walked. I told you that was my dark horse to win. It was definitely Ohio State, because that would say the coach's job. Hard hitting. They want you to think Lions banged up, but honestly, they're most stacked team in the league. I would dare say they were carved up by the 49ers. Their DBs ain't shit. I mean, the Lions are vulnerable to the pass, and that's what the Vikings. So Vikings going to throw all over them, and the Vikings going to put pressure on their quarterback. Now, at times, the Vikings, I think the Vikings DBs are better than the Lions DBs, because the Lions DBs ain't shit. Last week proved that. The Lions are weak in the backfield. They got a good safety, but none of them are good cover people. None of them are good cover people at all. So we'll see. Zach's record is like 88 and 212. I wouldn't be surprised. And I don't know the other dude's name. He's always sitting there. Get to my Patreon. He'd be like this. Get to my Patreon. You're just stupid if you. And then Zach be like that too. If you don't listen to me, you're stupid. I mean, how does that, if you don't listen to me, you're stupid. How does that play out? That one dude be like, you have to do my Patreon. I tell more on my Patreon. I give all my picks to this shit. I don't need this to live good. I don't need this. And that's why I give my information out freely. I don't need Patreon. I don't need, how they try to get you on this YouTube where you can join, you can subscribe and pay me $1 a month. No, you don't pay me $1 a month. You pay fucking Google $1 a month or whatever you split out of that. Why is that necessary? I'm going to give out what I give out. I'm not holding any classes, because all that shit be scams. Niggas talking about they holding classes and shit. That shit be scams. Get to my Patreon or join, subscribe, where I give out some more information. I don't think I've got any extra information. You right, OG. I'm going to stay away from that game. Zach blew it. He had the wave and crashed out. Well, I mean, I ain't really got nothing bad to say about Zach, but it's just that calling people stupid because you don't listen to him. I don't get that. I don't get that. I don't get that. That's funny to me, You're not stupid because you don't believe or don't practice gematria or gematry. It's a couple factions. But I want to show, I always picking up new shit, so I kind of want to show some new shit that I got. Why not? Now this ain't mine, but this is what I bought my son. I bought him these. These are Stroll. They're like a biker or a skateboard shoe. This is all nubuck or suede, and this is a little bit of that's fake suede in the back. And then you got probably little lightning of suede, but they're strolls. I don't know what the fuck why this is on here, but he kept this on here. But they're big fat ass shoes, wide shoes. More of a skateboard casual, pretty comfy, big sole. But that's what he wanted. So they came. We had to order these motherfuckers, so they came. But these are my sons. But I could still wear them because they're 13s. I don't like putting books on the floor, so I'm gonna just go through them. But my mother bought me this book, The Game of Life and How to Play It, the self-help classic. Haven't read this one. And for those of you that have friends, this is like usually the number one book that people want to borrow for some reason and don't give back. But I've had it. I've had this copy before, The Art of War. So I've read this already. I read it a couple times. Now this is a book that I was gonna buy this book, and my mother bought this for me. It's called Confessions of an Economic Hitman. And this book is deep. This book shows you, just to give you a highlight about it, it shows you how they go in and still wage war without bombs. Like, these occupiers still all up and down. They do it all over the world too, but all up and down the Americas, they wage war. They've overthrown other countries' presidents, which is supposed to be illegal. Our CIA. I mean, I thought the CIA was just for Europe, but no, they use the CIA all against the Americas. And they do the same thing. I talked about this a few weeks ago. They go into a country and give the country a loan, and then when it comes time to hire who's going to do the work, the infrastructure work, they hire some American company. So the money never really leaves America. And then they owe this debt. And they owe such a big debt that they can't take care of their people. I mean, we saw Venezuela try to fight back against these motherfuckers. And what did they do? They got close to him and gave him cancer. And my wife was like, you can't give people cancer. Well, they obviously gave him cancer. And Jack Ruby said they gave him cancer too while he was in jail. So this is a very good book. I do recommend. And this is a book here where you probably saw the movie, and this is the Unbroken book. This book probably is gonna be pretty good. Them motherfuckers in Japan, they was some nasty ass people. I mean, they was some very nasty ass sadistic people. I mean, all you got to do is read the book about the rape of Nanping maybe is the name of it, where they killed almost 400,000 people, raped over, I don't know, they said they raped 60,000 women were raped, if not 100,000, but they killed almost 400,000 people. And you can look that up. But this book will detail Unbroken. Remember, he was Olympic champion in 36 when Jesse Owens and all of them was Olympics. He was part of that Olympic. I think he was a 1500 world champ. So this probably will be good and talk a little bit about that torture. And I think I did mention this book the other night. This book is like, really, if you guys are into anime and saw the anime Dr. Science, this is the book. If shit collapsed, you would definitely want this motherfucker. But this is the book, The Ultimate Guide to Rebuild Civilization. Came in a really cool packaging. And it really breaks down, a lot of what the occupiers have done, but a lot of practical things that other people have invented too. And this was a book that was going around Facebook. Facebook be having ads, so. The Sopranos. Okay. Now this is one where I'm going to eat a little crow. I'm going to eat a little crow. I must admit, I try to say my word and you know, but sometimes there are super deals and you just got to go for the deal. Like I watched, oh my goodness, let me, I'm old man, but I want to say his name right. Oh yeah, Read My Soul. Read My Soul. I watched his show tonight, and he showed like his top 5 sneakers, which was it was a cool that what he had. Now, I ain't had none of what he had. Again, I don't really buy. I've never bought a pair of Air Jordan 1s or Air Force One lows. I don't really, you know. So, but he showed some good shoes, and you should subscribe to Read My Soul. He does a sneakers thing as well. And so, you know, I had made a proclamation and showed you guys and said that I would never get those because they was ugly. And I still stay with that. But what did I say last week? I said when I went to the mall and saw them, they had the best leather out of all of them. So I did pick up the new release of the LeBrons. I got a bunch of strings, so I'm going to take these strings out because these motherfuckers is ugly. But this leather, let me see if I can get it to show you. Okay, yeah, this leather is some of the best leather of any, I can't say any, but I mean, this leather is superior to any other. This colorway is the best one out right now, material wise. As I've said before, this is the kind of thing they were putting in Mercedes in the 90s. Like this pattern is what would be in cars in the 90s. And this is all leather in here. All this top uppers is leather. Now it's some ugly ass colors, but and super comfortable. I don't have to wear my insoles with these, but when I do, they're really comfortable. But these were when they came out, these were $180, and I got them for $125. $125 for these $180 shoes. And they went back. Like if you see this cut in here, this is what they did because these are 22s. This is what they did on the 19s. So he went back to this kind of cutout here. Instead of being just all one piece, they went back to here and here. So this leather is so nice. I mean, this is a nice leather. And when I saw him live, I was like, okay, you know, this was a better shoe than the other ones. It doesn't look better. It doesn't look better. And I should have showed my socks. I bought a pack of Nike rainbow socks and they were only $8. So it was hard to turn them down. And finally, my last thing to show is and maybe did I show these before? Maybe I showed these before. I didn't remember if I showed these before, but these is 501. No, yeah, these are 501s. They got the Levi here, the Levi. Maybe I showed these before now. So if I showed them before, please forgive me. But these are 501 straight legs, not skinny legs, but just straight legs. So I couldn't remember if I showed them. So that's the newest gear. James Gant, what's happening?
You can't get too close to Michael. It's a foul.
What's happening? The big news, we had 15 people, that got killed in New Orleans. I think 30 people got hurt. Oh, did y'all hear Ezekiel Elliott got released in week 18. Week 18, they released him. But I think, no, I don't think any of his money was guaranteed. So now the morbid news, other than the people that got killed, and then we know that They blew up a car in front of Trump Tower. So, whoops. Damn, where'd it go? Oh, let's see if I can get it back. Oh, there we go. Okay, all of them dropped down in price, but these are StockX. I don't like StockX because they hit you with always $15 worth of their shipping fees. Oh, is this the chick? So this chick apparently died. I don't know who she is. Our school is free. But this humanitarian influencer, Dora Nimbu, died at 32. Oh, maybe we can get a little more out of her. And she strove to make the world a better place for unprivileged children in 19. She launched a nonprofit organization, Footprints of Hope, to help build schools in Zambia and fight child marriage. In her 4 schools, she had sheltered over 500 children. Again, just like when you know it's a sacrifice, it is no cause of death. So we know that there's something shaky going on that. And then, the football game got canceled today. So because of the tragic events. Let me show this shit. Man, let me show you this shit. This is how it is here. That Arctic shit is back in here, y'all. So tonight it's gonna get a low of 10. That's tomorrow. That's Friday. So today it's gonna be a high of 18. Tonight it's gonna get down to 5. What does it see? Especially feels like 1 above. Even though it's 15 degrees, if you stay out in that motherfucker long, it's 1 above. 1 above. Not very windy, only 70 miles an hour. But that hawk is out there. That cold is out there, y'all. So. Oh, this dude has been walking up on these astronauts. Dudes got so mad when he threw him out. He still had his microphone in the astronaut's home. You can clearly hear him say, "Let's call the CIA and have him whacked." Not surprised. Greg Gumbel. Yeah, I talked about that Sunday. I talked about Greg Sunday. Yep, I talked about that on Sunday. So, what's up with this weird? Oh, yeah, the fog. They said the fog, and I talked about that Sunday too. They say the fog is all over the world. At one point, it's kind of cleared up here, but some people said it was giving them sore throats and shit. But it was all over the world. Did not talk about this motherfucker. Here's another one. George Fawsley, again. These championship games, entertainers or athletes. Now, that other chick we just saw wasn't. But George Fawsley Jr., film editor and producer, John Landis Films, dies at 85. What else did he make? The Blues Brothers, Coming to America. Producer who collaborated with director John Landis on such films as Animal House, which was a great film. The Blues Brothers, Coming to America, and the Twilight Zone, the movie. He died. He was 85. He died complications from pneumonia. Okay. So it was edited, shown. Let me see. His father was falsely a famed 13-time cinematographer. Bunch of fucking movies. He all edited Cheaper by the Dozen, The Pink Panther, Ross Hostel. Oh, that was a Creep movie. And Hostel Part 2. After cutting Landis, director, edited the Landis Helm Kentucky Fried Movie, Animal House, which was great. Blues Brother, which was great. Coming to America. Okay. American Werewolf in London, which was one of the first transformations, the modern look of how the werewolf turned. Trading Places, Michael Jackson's Thriller. Wow. Twilight Zone, the movie, The Night, Spies Like Us, which was stupid. And Three Amigos, which was really stupid. So, Landis and 3 others were acquitted charge of manslaughtering. Damn, who did they manslaughter? Were acquitted on charge of manslaughter. The jury came out at the end of the trial and said, "We saw this as an accident and we didn't understand Why you'd prosecute people for accident? Well, people died. That's vehicular manslaughter. With producer, author Kevin Goetz, who killed the messenger. That's probably why they came after him, for Kill the Messenger. And if you haven't watched Kill the Messenger, that's a very deep movie that shows how the CIA helped push cocaine in America. It's positive. This showed that they did it, that they pushed cocaine, and then they killed that man. That man died with a shot in the back of his head. He died of supposedly suicide. So we know they killed that man. We know they killed him. Oh, new Kobe Bryant's coming out. I ain't really crazy about the Kobe's. Yeah, I ain't really. I was watching this show on athletes getting broke. Did anybody check that out, where the athletes be getting broke? And it's like, it's really, what happens is you have people that ain't very smart to jump to start with. A lot of them didn't get their degree. We in my generation and about, it was like where athletes really wasn't the smartest people in the world and easy to take advantage of. Easy to take advantage of. Suckers. Lames and suckers, but they had good athletic abilities, but they was really lames and suckers. And so, like look at a motherfucker like Sean Kemp and had to pay all that child support. Really? You that's all you do is just fuck and have to pay child support. Adrian Peterson was no different. He got 6, 7 children and wondering why he broke now. I mean, motherfuckers don't want to invest in mutual funds, but want to give somebody some money to build a restaurant. One motherfucker said they built a restaurant in the hood. It's funny, all the crazy brainstorming things, like the George Foreman movie. He's given a motherfucker that had no training, no financial real training other than playing the stocks a little bit, and fucked all George's money up. And look how often people steal from you. Ali gave a motherfucker $1 million cash. He gave a nigga $1 million cash and never saw the guy again. And that's what happened. Like I told the story of my cousin. Like back then when I was hustling, the first thing I said is, "Why didn't you call me? Like, why didn't you call me?" It's like you. But what happens is because my cousin's mother died and he got a little bread, and this nigga talked him out. I think 7. He told him he could get him a key for $7,000. In Atlanta, though. He said, "I can get your key." And what happens is when you, because see, this is how motherfuckers get hurt, is you telling your business. This motherfucker's talking about when he get his money, what he gonna do, and then his boys in his ear, because the way they manipulate you is they be by your side every day. They with you until they get that money. They with you till they get that bread. Then all of a sudden they disappear on you. And that's how they did my cousin. That was the first thing I said. "Why didn't you call me?" Shit, I ain't have to go through all that to get you what you're looking for, to put some money on your pocket, put some more money. Instead, he gave a nigga, and that's, I mean, I'm sure you guys have seen this scenario. A motherfucker be tight with you, when they know you getting that money, because again, most people ain't disciplined enough not to talk about it. They want to tell their business because they flexing. "Oh, my mom, I'm about to get this 40,000. And motherfuckers talk about that shit. And then they don't know. And it's like, it goes into the pro athlete story. Motherfuckers is plotting how to get you out of your money. It's like when these contracts, and that's one fucked up thing they do, is they expose how much money people got. And there's motherfuckers you don't even know plotting on how to get your money. That's how they do athletes. This motherfucker never knew the athlete. And as I said before, Kirby Puckett's wife and Juanita Jordan, they was both groupie chicks looking to marry athletes to get their money. They go into the clubs where all the athletes, I mean, that's how they do it. They know the athlete's going to be in there. They go to the clubs where they at. When it was the Slam, the Grand Slam, Princess Club, they know the play where the players go. And so they all in the players' face. It was interesting how some people was breaking down like why brothers choose the occupiers women's. That's kind of an interesting thing, is because they say that these women, they take classes. They say they got classes that teach you how to get a brother in college. You know, these European chicks find a way. They can take classes. They can network on here. How do you get an athlete? And then you get pregnant and then you start taking his money in child support. Same thing with Tiger Woods. You have to give a chick 300-400 million, if not $500,000. But they plotting on you. They laying with you and stuff. And they say that, you know, the European women are smarter because they'll stay with a brother. You know, they'll stay with a brother through his ordeals, through that injury season. And a lot of sisters like, you know, you ain't the shiny rock right now, so I can't fuck with you. And this thing of like I heard a chick say, what did the chick say? She told her husband that her money, his money was her money, but her money was her money. Like you're not sharing nothing with your husband. That's idiotic thinking. And this chick ain't bad. This was just an average beat down looking chick that's got a weave. Talk about he wasn't living up to expectations. And this is what I don't get about this generation. You ain't no one, there's no one really alive today that unless they come from affluent people can afford for just one person to pay all the bills. Now there are occasions where that does happen. But most households, everybody kind of got to work the way they got it going now. If you got older children, they better work too and pitch in. And so this unrealistic thing they keep showing about sisters expect the motherfucker to take care of them. And it's like so old. It's like 20, 30 years they've been saying, you got to do my nails and do my hair. I remember when my son's mom, who's a European girl, she said that, copying what she done heard these sisters say. Well, if we get back together, you got to do my hair and do my nails. Well, why don't you get a job and do your own motherfucking hair and your own fucking nails? Oh, so unrealistic. Doug Christie's wife. Okay, he's going through it too. Doesn't he have to marry her every year or some shit like that? You know, but again, a basketball player is a pretty affluent person. But most people, average working people, it's like now, you know, if you don't, like 50,000 is like making 10,000 years ago. 50,000 ain't a lot of money anymore. That's why like the gas stations offer 50,000 now. Like we got Quick Trips and Speedways, they offering 50,000. So that's equivalent to making 10 back in the day because inflation, which yeah, Biden didn't help with. But it was there already. I mean, everything has been higher anyway, you know, so everything's higher anyway. Oh. Teddy Bridgewater wins high school tournament and then he's back coaching. Wow. That is mind blowing. Oh, thank you. Same to you. Thank you. Homie, what's happening?
You can't get too close to Michael. It's a foul.
Thank you for coming. Is this what I just looked for? I think I've seen these. Let's see. Yeah, these are for sale now. I don't have any of these, but yeah, these are for sale now. With the little swoosh, the big swoosh, and the little swoosh. I think these only 100 too. They got any big pictures of them? Doesn't look like it. But yeah, I think these are in stores now. You can get these 120. So, and I've never owned a pair of these. I think, you know, when I bought a pair of knockoff ones back in the early 2000s, like 2007, I think I bought a pair of knockoff ones to cut the grass in. But that's the only time I think I've ever had a pair, is I bought a pair of knockoffs. That was back when the knockoffs was good. Well, it looks like that's all the morbid news. All the morbid news we had. It doesn't look like any more morbid news. Which is good. I mean, but we see, you know, and we don't even know, like the symbolism of the motherfucker burning the truck in front of Trump's place was kind of interesting, that they would use Tesla. And they got all the mega people up in arms because Trump's talking about, hey, he's going to get away. He's going to get away from the immigration, and they trying to get away from the equity stuff. But without this equity stuff, they can't bring a bunch of the motherfucking Indian engineers over here. So Tesla and that other Indian dude, they up in arms over it. But the mega people's like, wait a minute, motherfucker. You said you wasn't letting these motherfuckers over here. That's what the mega people are screaming. It's like, wait, you changing on us. You said you was gonna get rid of all these motherfuckers. And all of a sudden there's a certain group that you favor. So the mega people ain't too happy with that motherfucker now. They're like, look, he's already changing on us. Let's find the next candidate. It's funny, they're not talking about where I'm at. They're not talking about the people running over shit. They got ran over, which is interesting. Watch, play. Let's see. Let's open this up. Let's go here. Damn, Bruce Lee kicks. Bruce Lee Nikes. That's some bullshit. Yeah, none of that bullshit about but it's sad. It's sad, but it's also, type of messages. That's all. I mean, a Tesla in front of Trump's thing, that's interesting. That is interesting because it's a you don't know if that comes from Tesla's people or you don't know where that comes from. 10 most expensive sneakers that are not Air Jordans. Oh, you gotta watch this shit. Okay, I ain't trying to watch it. It's some bullshit. Yeah, homie, I've been talking about that a little bit. I don't know, like what, I think they're getting a Somalian brother, and which is funny is I didn't know there's a lot of Somalians in New Orleans. The politics behind it, I'm not really sure, because he killed a mixture of people, but like of all places, and I guess if anything, it's a disruptor. It's a disruptor for the game, the college games. This is a disruptor for that. That's what it seemed like to me, is a college disruptor. So I don't know. I mean, is it a terrorist? I mean, who were they going after? Because a terrorist, it has to be, you're killing for a purpose or a cause. So, has he stated his cause, and then, you have to always look at who were the victims. Now, if you're just saying, random act of violence, any kill is a good kill, that doesn't really get a lot. Like, because remember, we had it was a dude who ran into a parade and killed like about 10 people some years ago. Remember, he went into a parade. It was a black dude that said he wanted to kill some Europeans, and he ran into a parade. Remember that? And he killed a little girl, a couple young people. He killed about 5 to 10 people. So it's no really different than that. So it's interesting. What is the tactic? What is the end game, as they say? What is the end game for doing this thing? What would the end game be? And that I couldn't tell you. Like I'm not sure what the end game for this would be. So I don't know, y'all. I mean, what happens is it changes people's thinking as well. It changes people's security. It also, you spread it. Because when we talk about it, we spread it. So we spread the terror, whatever you want to call it. We kind of spread that too. So I don't know. I mean, I'm not really sure what it was about or why. I mean, what's the end game? That's my thing. It's like, what are you going to accomplish? What's the real accomplishment for this? Is this a prowler? Prince had a prowler? Damn, he's a sucker. Bought that piece of shit car. Missouri National Guard's first female 11C infantryman. I don't know what that meant. Okay. Yeah, there's nothing about it on here. Oh, NFL condones. Oh, this is a soccer player. So some soccer player's mama looked like she was sacrificed. The Nigerian Federation, NFF, has condoled with Super Eagles goaltender Stanley Nwabi following the death of his mother. Again, they don't tell how she died. He was 28, so his mother was probably slightly younger than me. So I don't know. So I don't know. That wasn't much of a sacrifice. Wasn't no American football sacrifice for sure. And I was listening to Dwayne Brown. Look up Dwayne Brown. I enjoy him. He was part of the Cred Facts. He's an LA brother, and he was just showing the impact on. I guess it was a 30-30 for NWA, and it was showing how he shows a stat of how they went from 300,000 making 300 million off of NFL gear before NWA. Then after NWA, they made like 3 billion. Now, my only thing is in Michigan, I've said this, my first jersey was a high school jersey. My father gave me one of the high school jerseys, and people don't really remember, but the way you can get school stuff now, they didn't like giving that shit up. They didn't really sell nothing with the schools on it other than your jacket when I grew up. They just, the stores didn't sell the high school stuff. It's not like it is today where the grocery stores got the high school teams gear and stuff like that, or the school gear. It was pretty, when I was in elementary, gear wasn't released that much. I mean, always you could go on college campuses and get t-shirts and sweatshirts, but that was about it. They really weren't big into stuff like that back then. So my first jersey was the Dick Buckus and the Lynn Barney jersey, the number 20, which is later Billy Sims, and then later Barry Sanders. But at first for me, it was Lynn Barney and Buckus. And then I had a winter coat that was the Detroit Lion winter coat. So that was a Sears. Sears was one of the few stores that sold NFL gear like that, because I bought all that stuff from Sears. And they was one of the few places that you could get NFL gear, but it wasn't really big. It was like they had a little section during the season. NBA gear was almost non-existent as far as NBA gear. You just didn't see it. You really didn't see it. Not shorts, not jerseys. Jerseys didn't come out until probably the 2000s, really. Really, I mean, where people were actually wearing them. And basketball jerseys are so odd because of the way they made. That's why they tried to switch to like shirts, which historically they've had that before, but they're more marketable. Like I gave my boy my Wiggins jersey, and you can't even get them no more. Wiggins jerseys with the sleeves. And so to say that NWA and the California Cats is the reasons that people bought gear, I would say the other part is like hats. Now you saw the explosion with trucker, people think that trucker hats was invented by truckers. They really weren't. Back in, I want to say when the Oakland A's, so back in the Major League Baseball, when the A's won 3 in a row or 2 out of 4 or something like that, they switched to the mesh hat in the back. And that was early 70s. And then trucker hats kept that because when baseball switched back to the wool hats, but that to me was the explosion of people buying baseball hats. And then later you could even get football hats that had the mesh in the back. That to me was the one explosion that made people buy team hats. This was even before trucker hats was even a thing. Truckers copied that style and started putting brands of equipment and shit on them. But the explosion, as I saw it, was through the hats at first, where everybody wore the hats. And so it really wasn't the clothes or the jerseys, it was the hats that really, really picked up for the NFL and baseball. But so basketball, not so much. But football and baseball for sure, the hats was the thing that probably most people, if you had a sports team, that's what you would get. Like I remember when I went to Pittsburgh and I saw a UCLA hat. It was a mesh hat. I bought it from my stepdad. I used to wear it sometime, but that's where it progressed. And then by the time you come into like the 80s is where you started was being able to buy jerseys too. You was able to get finally football jerseys. In the 90s, more football jerseys, more companies made football jerseys where you didn't have to order them, that you'd actually go into stores and see in the 90s. And then those of you remember, they had the ABA, I think it was 2000s, you started seeing the ABA jerseys. The Moses Malone for the St. Louis Spirits was very popular at 13. I've showed the Connie Hawkins jersey that I have. I'm trying to think of the other popular one, ABA. Dr. J for sure. You know, this is where you start seeing those kind of jerseys. And then there was, when I moved here in 06, you started seeing like the rest of the ABA gear because I had a jacket from the New Orleans Buccaneers. So you could get more gear. Now, people may not remember Dr. J had gear. I think East Bay you can find this stuff. And I had the shirt. It was like a mesh shirt that zipped up, and you can get the pants or you could get the shoes. And I had the socks. So yeah, they had the starter short sets in the 90s. Baseball hats are the best. Yeah, they are. Best hats are baseball and hockey. Yeah, that Black Hawk hat is hard to beat. Hard to beat. I don't know. I like, you know, I've got a bunch of baseball hats. I got a bunch of football hats. I got a bunch of Eagles hats. I probably got the Vikings and Eagles are the most. The only hockey hats I got is the Wild. And then, you know, the best mascot of them all is the Blackhawks. You know, I've got the white Blackhawk Toes jersey, and I think I got two red ones, the sweaters. You know, one of my sweaters is the real thing where it's got the pants hook up inside. So I don't know if you could really, you know, if you could really put that the West Coast is the one that really got people interested in jerseys. I think it was happening kind of anywhere, you know. And matter of fact, you can even go to Walter Payton. Walter Payton is probably, you were seeing a lot of his jerseys when Walter Payton played in Chicago. That was one of the first jerseys you could probably buy over the region area. Just whereas Detroit, it was later when you saw, it was later when you started seeing the Barry Sanders jerseys. It was kind of later. But I would say Walter Payton, when he played, you could probably find the Walter Payton jerseys. Remember, Walter Payton had a dial. I had an O.J. Simpson jersey. I don't know what happened to it. One of these women took them, you know. My Donovan McNabb, my daughter's mother, one of her groups stole they stole my Michael Vick jersey and my Donovan McNabb. So, and that Donovan McNabb was a real jersey. It was a real jersey. I looked at it in the store. That jersey was $2 something. I saw the same jersey that must have been donated in the fucking not Goodwill, but a place like Goodwill. We got a place called Unique, and it was up in Unique. The same fucking jersey I saw at the mall. Somebody got it. The starter gear was expensive in the 90s. Well, I had give you an example like starter. I had the first, because when did the Timberwolves come in? 86, 87. See, I started coaching JV. My son was born in 89. I was already coaching when he was born. So maybe 87, 88. And I had the all white Timberwolves jersey and the hat. So yeah. So starters. Yeah. And that jersey, like now I got the starter jersey, a starter jacket from the Eagles in my closet. I ain't wore it yet, but I got that in the closet. So McNabb was very underrated. I don't know. I think, you know, the thing that killed him in the end in his whole career was his accuracy. He was very mobile, didn't have the strongest arm, wasn't that accurate, but was, you know, had nice size and could make the plays when the plays was needed. He had great receivers. I mean, he had T.O., you know, him and T.O. started not to get along. And he had Freddie. What was Freddie's name? I can picture it, number 84, Freddie something. He had him. So he had some good receivers. Remember, Cunningham, when he played here with his weak arm, he had Randy Moss and Chris Carter. And Cunningham is really the real reason they lost to Atlanta when Atlanta got beat by Green Bay. It was Cunningham. Because they could have taken the lead with Randy Moss had his man beat, and Cunningham threw the ball straight up in the air. Straight up in the air instead of throwing it out there deep. You see, it's funny when they show highlights of him doing what he should have did to Randy Moss on that play. Threw the ball out there. So, yeah. Well, I mean, he had T.O. though. He did have T.O. That season he took him to the Super Bowl was with T.O. And then T.O., remember, the horse collar tackle came from T.O. Gave T.O. the horse collar tackle, and it hurt his leg. And remember, he came back in the Super Bowl. Just shows you how quick they can, injuries. It's like injuries ain't what they used to be. Like the way they destroyed Gale Sayers on purpose. They hurt him on purpose. That's why I'm glad the dude who hurt Gale Sayers got cursed. Because what he did to Gale Sayers, he deserved to get cursed. Kermit Alexander, maybe his name was Kermit Alexander. No need to hurt Gale Sayers the way he did. So it was an evolution of the clothes. Yeah, starters. Like I mentioned before, when Grant Hill was playing with the Pistons, people in Michigan didn't wear Nike stuff. They didn't wear Jordans. They wore Fila's. I mean, one time I think I had 5 or 6 Fila coats. I had the pullovers, I had the zip-ups, had the jeans. They had Puma boots. I don't know if y'all knew about, or not Puma, Fila. Fila boots, Fila jeans. I mean, Michigan was Fila. You go in Detroit, that's all you saw was Fila. You didn't see motherfuckers wearing Jordans in Michigan. Not when Grant Hill was on his shit. When Grant Hill was the man, the whole state wore Filas. And I used to, I've been coming to Minnesota since the 80s, so I would come here and I noticed that Garnett never had that pull. Because like you hang out in Chicago, everybody had Nikes. But when you would come here, Garnett wore Adidas, but everybody wore, a lot of people was wearing Nikes. It's like he never had that pull like Michael Jordan and Grant Hill. And Grant Hill was a force. I mean, Grant Hill only had about 4 or 5 real good years because he got hurt, even though he played 17 seasons. He missed, full almost 2-3 seasons. But Grant Hill was Michael Jordan, but taller. He used to give him the business. I mean, Grant Hill was just as good as Jordan at the same age. Like his first 2, 3, 4, 5 seasons, Grant Hill was just as good as Jordan. Jordan didn't have anything over Grant Hill because Grant Hill's 6'8". 6'8" and can ball, dribble, was a great defender because that's what he was later in his career. His whole career, he was a great defender. So Jordan really didn't have anything over him other than longevity. Grant Hill got hurt. They called Grant Hill soft, and Grant Hill played in the playoff games on a broke foot. And that broken foot, damn near like Bill Walton. He was out 2.5 years? And then when he came back, he wasn't that same dude. But watch his first few years films. He's giving it to Scottie Pippen because he's just as tall as Pippen. And Dennis Rodman. He was just as tall as both of them, but he didn't play with Dennis Rodman. He was after Isaiah now. So, but he was just as good. I mean, he had the same skill set. Top Fila with the rope in the back. High top Filas with the rope in the back. You remember the Fila with the ropes on the back? Okay, yeah, I do. A lot of people wear those Patrick Ewing shoes in Evansville, Indiana. Okay, yeah, I remember Ewing's. I've never owned a pair myself, but yeah, people, I can't really say a lot of people wore those in Michigan. You would see people wear British Knights. I remember buying my little boys British Knights, BKs as they called them. Remember, my little boys wearing them. I never owned a pair, but they were a cute shoe to buy little children those. So now, one thing about Fila is I never hooped in them. Fila wasn't a good hoop shoe. And that's what kind of, I talked about Steph Curry having the foot problems. With his shoe, Under Armour. The same thing, Lonzo Ball, look at them. He had them fucked up shoes his whole career. He damn near been hurt. So Grant Hill fell to the same problem is not testing the shoes enough and not getting a truly good shoe. Because I never thought, Fila was a good fashion, but I never hooped in Fila. I never hooped in them. And I think I was showing the other day, I think I mostly would hoop in Airships. At one Reeboks, when the second Iversons came out, second and third, or maybe the third and fourth Iverson, and I started hooping with them with that Hexalite. And then like the Shaq was the first good, comfortable shoe with the Hexalite in it. If you remember Shaq's first shoe, not the black and white ones, but those all white ones that had the Hexalite in them. Super comfortable shoes. Yeah, it almost killed him. Yeah, exactly. Grant Hill almost died from the surgeries. He got MRSA. One of his surgeries, he got MRSA. Like my daughter's mother got MRSA in her eye, and it almost took her eye away. And that was just through LASIK. That was just through LASIK that she doesn't have a lot of sight in her left eye. And that's what happened to Grant Hill. He had surgery and had MRSA. So Grant Hill damn near died. That people don't realize that he was still young. Infection from the surgery. Yeah, exactly. That's what MRSA is. They say it's, the tools being compromised. The surgery tools being compromised is what they claim. That's how you get MRSA. What is this bullshit? Boy, look at this bullshit here. This is Balenciaga. Who would wear this ugly shit here? Is the sound off? Oh, okay. Look at this ugly shit, y'all. Who would wear this ugly shit? These is fucking insoles with a toe on them. Look like the old Japanese shoes. Would you pay $4.50 for this bullshit? Your feet would get wet in the motherfucker. You really got to be somewhere nice to wear these motherfuckers. If you anywhere and they ain't nice, look at this shit. $4.50 for this bullshit. You put a name on some shit, but people will buy fucking anything if you put a name on it. That's what's fucked up. Put a name on the shit and people will buy anything. Because the name is on it. But that was an interesting phenomenon going back and forth to Chicago and Detroit. And the hold of the hold that Grant Hill had on Detroit. I mean, it was serious. It was a serious thing. And the feel of gear was nice. The shoes sucked, but the gear was nice. The gear was really nice. Because it was like so many different varieties where you had to be unique. I had a blue pullover with the big F in the middle. And then I bought my wife at the time a black and white one. It was two black and white ones. It was a pullover and it was a zip up black. It was blue, it was blue, black, and white. I think it was blue and had the letters Fila all over the print in blue. And I had that one. I had a bunch of them. No. And then her cousins was always coming over trying to wear one of my jackets because that was the thing. Like, are you wearing that? Do you mind if I take it to school? They wanted to flex. The Pro Wings. Who was that? He had an infection from the surgery. Yeah. He got MRSA from the surgery. Yeah. Yep. Was he better than T-Mac at his peak? Oh yeah. Way more effective than T-Mac. Way more effective. Better defender. T-Mac, even though he was 6'10", 6'11", wasn't a defender. And he wasn't T-Mac really, I never saw him as a power player. Grant Hill had that same force as Jordan. I mean, again, beat you off the dribble, dunk hard. No finesse, no real jump shot. He was a mid-range guy. He had mid-range, wasn't really a three shooter till later in his career. But mid-range, I mean, again, he is beating you on the dribble at 6'8", dribbling like a guard at the time, dribbling just as well as Magic, but not using the moves to pass, using the move to dunk on a motherfucker. Like, in the reign of Jordan and Dr. J, well, Connie Hawkins, Jordan and Dr. J, the dunk as a all the time move and dunk on everybody. So, they need to bring back those Pro Wings. If you had to go Pro Wings back in the day, you know how to fight. That's funny. Yeah, I know a young boy, like the saddest story I heard of a person getting jumped over clothes was a dude had, what do they call it? Hampton. I think it's now called the University of Hampton or Northampton. But anyway, it was a boy got killed here. Dude saw him wear the jersey, and the jersey was kind of ugly. It was what was it? Black, green, and some color. Black, green, and something. I mean, not really but unique. Northampton State. That's what it's called. Northampton State. And a dude shot a dude over that jersey. He said, they asked him, why did you kill him? He said, well, it was a party I wanted to go to, and I wanted to wear the jersey to the party. Yeah. So I've heard stories of people, getting robbed over their shoes and shit. Who I got winning the Super Bowl? I think I'm going to wait to say that. I think once we see the playoffs, how the playoffs are, I'm going to wait. And once the playoffs come and the playoffs are set, then I'll reveal that. I'm not going to say today, but I'll reveal that as that comes up. Yeah. As that comes up and the playoffs are set, then I'll reveal, who I got to win it all. I'll break down once the playoff starts. I'll break down who I got. So, but it's like I don't know. I want to see all the deaths too. As the deaths are coming up, I want to see all them as they're coming up to see, because a lot of times that's the tails. You start seeing the deaths and where the deaths are, who's the deaths for. That becomes a tail. So I got some time to pick that out. And a lot is going to depend on, like the Giants. People, like, one of the biggest games in a while is when the Lions and Vikings play tomorrow, Saturday night. I mean, that's really going to be critical. Whoever wins that game has the advantage, I think, of winning the Super Bowl. Now, the Lions, will they let the Lions win? Hard to say. They ain't even been to the Super Bowl. Now, will they let them, go to one Super Bowl and win? That's hardly done. It's been done a couple times, but like New Orleans, New Orleans won their first one, but we know that the only reason New Orleans won was Katrina. I mean, we know that's the only reason they won was Katrina. Trying to give some bread to New Orleans, but it's like the Patriots. The Patriots hadn't won one to 9/11. So do you see after 9/11 and the Patriots win their first one, do you see how they did that? You paid attention to that back then. The same with Katrina. That's why the Saints ain't won one since. So will they let Detroit win one? And the Vikings ain't won. And I showed that shirt that said Vikings one-time champions. This was in the store. I saw them in TJ Maxx and Marshalls. Now, the Vikings ain't never won a Super Bowl. Why would that be in the store already? I found that in December. December or November. I found that jersey. I'd have to look back at the post when I showed it. But it already showing a Vikings jacket and they're saying one-time Super Bowl winner. So is this the year they let the Vikings through? Or are they going to let, Kansas City Chiefs be San Francisco and Tom Brady? They're going to let them win 3 in a row. Because as I've said many times, the NFL, all of them, all sports like dynasties. All sports. Like you just saw the Dodgers win again. When the Dodgers went to LA, they became more of a dynasty. Before, they really weren't. Jackie Robinson, despite being in many World Series, only won one. Him and Roy Campanella only won that one World Series. They lost 3 or 4. And so, they like dynasties. Dynasties sell. Dynasties keep the leagues going. Boston bombings. yeah, that's a good point. Sam Darnold so much. Yeah. Like Sam Darnold's career has been a sacrifice from the very beginning too. Remember, Sam Darnold's very first pass was a pick 6. And we know who threw the most pick 6s in his career is in the Hall of Fame, named Joe Namath. So that pick 6 was a allude to Joe Namath. That was a Joe Namath, event, recognizing, that his first pass was on Monday Night Football. And his very first pass, he still won the game. The Jets still won, but his very first pass was a pick 6, very first. So I think that kind of start, that kind of sacrifice, he's making better decisions. He's going first, second, third. He's seeing all the options. He still tends to force the ball, but he's got good receivers. He's a great receiving core. Tight end has come on. So one of those two teams is more than likely going to the Super Bowl. I say on the NFC side, it's going to be the Vikings or the Lions. On the AFC side, I'm something's telling me that maybe they might let the Bills get past the Chiefs. I don't know. We'll see. But something's kind of pointing to me that way, that they might let the Bills get past the Chiefs. Dodgers got one more. Red Sox won the championship that year. Yeah. Well, I mean, and they said for the Red Sox selling Babe Ruth, because the Red Sox didn't trade Babe Ruth. They sold Babe Ruth. They sold him because the Red Sox was about to lose the Red Sox. So they needed the money, and the money saved them. Have you seen the clip of Bubba Smith talking about, Super Bowl III? Yeah, I think Lobo showed it. But I watched the game. I've watched every Super Bowl. I would say the Cowboys' second Super Bowl, I broke my hand, so I watched up to halftime, and my hand was doing like this, so I had to go to the hospital and get them to put it in the cast because the nerves were so fucked up when I broke it. So I had to leave the game and go to the hospital. So, but I watched half that game. But I watched every Super Bowl. And I was born in 61. The Super Bowl started, what, 67, 68 season? Or was it 66, 67 season? So I watched all Super Bowls. And that team was a monster team. That team was a monster team. And they beat a good Rams team. I think the NFC Championship was the Colts and the Rams with Deacon Jones and Merlin Olsen. I think Roman Gabriel was still the quarterback. That was a pretty stacked team itself. And then you got the AFL that did pass more, but I mean, it just defensively, they weren't a great team. And that Jimmy Orr play, again, like Bubba says, the play is designed to go to Jimmy Orr, and Earl Morrall never looks at Jimmy Orr. And remember, Earl Morrall was later given a Super Bowl with the Dolphins. Greasy goes down on that undefeated team. Earl Morrall comes. So for Earl Morrall throwing the game against the Jets, he got rewarded with a championship with the Dolphins in the AFL. And the only reason they won is for people to accept the AFL, because that's what they were saying. Because remember, they went to even though the AFL and NFL were two separate leagues, they went into a common draft, I think, in 67. So they didn't have to compete with each other because it was raising salaries up. I mean, people forget Joe Namath made, what was it, 400,000? Which back then was astronomical. I think that's what all the owners got together and said, you guys are, because that's what they do. One team would draft you in one league, the other team would draft you in another league, and then they would have a bidding war. And so the salaries were raised up. And so what they did is they colluded and they said, look, if we don't just have one draft, we're going to keep paying these high salaries. So they got smart. Then they looked at it like, well, why don't we just keep this one league, and then just one league will run everything. So they got rid of the AFL. The AFL became the AFC. And that was the only reason the Chiefs won. Remember, the Chiefs beat a stacked Vikings team when the Vikings made it. That was a stacked Vikings team. And if you want to know, did the Vikings lay down? Look at the play with Otis Taylor. As much as I love Otis Taylor, that play that gave him his touchdown was some bullshit. It was some bullshit. It was like a dive play. He missed Otis tackling. He went to tackle him, didn't wrap up. Otis runs down the sideline. So that one was fixed too. All of them was fixed though. I mean, that's the thing. All the sports were fixed, but all the Super Bowls have been fixed. All of them. Now, the first Super Bowl, the Packers were a better team at that time than the Chiefs. Even though the Chiefs were more innovative, passed a little more, the Packers had a better offensive line. I mean, if you look at all the people on the Packers offensive line that went in the Hall of Fame, Jerry Kramer, Fuzzy Thurston. I mean, this is a team that's full of Hall of Famers. And if you look at on the side of the Chiefs, you got Lynn Dawson, Otis Taylor ain't made it, Buck Buchanan, Bobby Bell, they made it. So you had a team with at least 7 or 8 Hall of Famers, a team with only 3 Hall of Famers. So that was AFC is up for grabs. Yeah. The Eagles, well, I'm an Eagles fan, so. But yeah, so Bubba Smith, it's other players that have come up. But yeah, Bubba Smith showed, and he says exactly what it was. They wanted people to accept the AFL. And that's why 2 years in a row they won it. They won it in 69 and they won it in 70. And then remember, when they let the Colts beat the Cowboys, the Colts people forget that the Colts was an NFL team. And when the leagues merged, they put the Colts in the AFL. And it's just like the way they set up Brady. They had Brady in the weakest league. His whole career, that NFC East, AFC East was the weakest league for his whole career. That he played New England, they were the weakest league. That's why they won 10 years in a row. Look how weak that league was. Look how weak the Colts was. What was it? Colts, Dolphins, Jets. Look at them teams. None of them teams was even close to winning it when Brady was in. Yeah, the sack exchange had a good run, but they never won it. So they set Brady up easy. But again, the Colts won it in 70. The Cowboys won it in 71 with Dwayne Thomas. 70, 71. Then we got the Dolphins win it in 72 and 73, but the Dolphins had lost to the Cowboys the year before. So 72, 73, the Dolphins won it. And then that's about where I remember by heart who won. 75, who won it? 76, I think, was the Cowboys again, but 75, I'd have to look all that up, guys. That's about far as I can remember who won it. So, the most solid team to ever win the Super Bowl. You know, like a lot of people, like the most solid defense was the Ravens. Well, I don't even know if to say that's correct. Pittsburgh, that defense was nasty. I mean, they didn't call Mean Joe Green Mean Joe for nothing. So those Pittsburgh teams were tough. Those Pittsburgh teams were really tough defensive-minded teams. And that was back when you could kind of bump and run still. So those teams were tough. The San Francisco teams were pretty good defensive teams too. What is it? The best team you've ever seen. The Ravens, nah. Good defensive team, but that's it. They had a quarterback that just they had a quarterback that just wasn't very good. Their offense wasn't very good. So the defense carried them, so they can't, but I think the 3 Super Bowls of the Cowboys, and I think they had better talent, especially when they brought in Deion. So those teams were probably the most overall talented is those 3 Super Bowl teams, I think. Now, strongest offensive teams, it's hard to discount those Rams that was in those 2 Super Bowls. Kurt Warner was a motherfucker. I mean, people forget Kurt Warner was the quickest setup and hitting those passes. He was one of the best ever. To set up and then get that ball out, I mean, it was hard. So those offensive of the Rams were some of the best offenses I ever watched. But then I go back to the Cowboys. I mean, 2 great receivers in Irving and Martin, a tough tight end. I can't think of the white boy's name that was on ESPN that was an announcer on Monday Night Football. That tight end, and then you got Emmett in the background. So those were very tough teams, very tough teams. None of New England, none of them. Go back to the first year the Raiders won it with the 78. I think it's 78 Raiders with Willie Brown, Plunkett at quarterback. I mean, those were tough teams all around. They had a good defense. They had Lester Hayes back in there and Atkins. So, those was dudes that was, and you got a Tatum. You had Tatum that Ohio State, Woody Hayes said he could play every position but quarterback because he couldn't throw. But every other position he could play. Jack Tatum. Those was, motherfuckers didn't want to catch the ball against them. Because remember, Jack Tatum killed Darryl Stingley. Or crippled him, excuse me. He crippled Darryl Stingley. And he did the same thing in the Super Bowl to Sammy White. Knocked his helmet off. So that was a tough team. The 78 team was a tough team. 78 Raiders team was tough. They weren't as tough on defense at 83, even though, they got a couple of defensive plays in the Super Bowl, but the 83 team wasn't as tough as the 78 team. With Willie Brown, Art Shell, Gene Upshaw. I think Jim Otto was still playing. But Plunkett is one of the most underrated NFL quarterbacks ever was Plunkett, college and pro. Jim Plunkett was actually a pretty great quarterback, but again, he played with the Patriots when the Patriots wasn't shit. And a lot of guys a lot of these young quarterbacks go on these teams that suck, and it's hard for them to develop. And Donaldson is kind of like that too. I mean, you can't really blame, what's his name? Palmer, the original Palmer brother that went to the original Texans. I mean, you can't blame this guy was sacked so many times, and it's hard to build up your confidence when, you're just getting ran over all the time. And then you want to blame these young quarterbacks and say the young quarterbacks was a bust when the teams weren't good enough. And they scripted for it not to be good enough. So, watch out for Joe Burrow. Yeah, but I don't see them letting him pass this year. I don't think they're going to let him pass this year. I think if anybody would be the dark horse or the upset is the Bills. That's kind of what I'm seeing is that more and more I'm looking at it and the way they're scripting it, it seemed like if any new team would win it, it might be the Bills. Now, again, Will they let the Vikings win it? Hard to say. The Vikings are tough all around. I'd say of all the teams that's contending, the Vikings got the best defense of all the contending teams. The Vikings defense is better than the Chiefs defense. And Detroit got torched last weekend. Let's not forget that. Detroit was torched last weekend. I mean, their DBs couldn't guard. San Francisco drove on them almost every time. You know, it's just they got outscored. But San Francisco had no problem with moving the ball on the Vikings. And they ain't even got, on the Lions, and they ain't even got a good, dangerous players. Their quarterback and their team ain't dangerous. And they was just moving the ball like it wasn't shit on the Lions. So on the back end, the Lions ain't very good. So the Vikings, that's why I think the Vikings are going to beat them and the Vikings are going to get the bye. And all the home games is going to be here. That's what I'm guessing, but I still want to put it together and see how they do it. Oh, so Mahomes not going to play this weekend. Right here they say will Carson Wentz lead the Chiefs to victory against Denver? Ooh. I say yes. I'm going to stick with them. I say yes. Because I think Denver got knocked out. Didn't Denver get knocked out? So I say Wentz beats Denver. Even though I'm on the air and I could still change it. Here's one that people don't understand. Manning that plays at Texas. Check this out. Manning that plays at Texas. So now what they give you is you get 4 years now. Now there used to be the old thing was you got 5 years to get 4. But now they give you 4 years of starting. So if you don't play 6 games, and right now Manning has not played a total of 6 games these last 2 seasons. He's still got 4 more years to start. And he's one of the highest paid NILs, so he's not in any hurry to leave. He's still going to be starting. This Ewers is leaving this year. It looks like he's going for the draft. So Peyton got 4 more years to start. So he truly understands the NIL. Just think, he's starting and he's one of the highest paid NILs. He ain't even starting. And did you guys see what Michigan beat Alabama, whooped that ass, beat them in the championship, and then turned around and beat them again. And Michigan paid their new quarterback $10 million to come in, which I think is absolutely right. No quantum of science and some of his group of lames think that it's destroying college football. And that's funny how, some Europeans think. They look at when the brothers have the power, football is okay, it's real. But now the people have, the players have the power, and it's going to be a split. Remember, it's profit sharing now. That's what college football is going to. It's going to profit sharing, like the NBA, which is rightly so. So why is it when, sports dominated by brothers, and college football is really dominated by brothers? No doubt about that. It's 300 teams. And the only teams that ain't dominated is Army, Navy, and then you got some of these small schools. But the big time football is dominated by brothers. And now when brothers getting this loot, you got Europeans thinking that, not digging it. That's why Saban got out. He couldn't be a dictator anymore. He couldn't ruin careers anymore. You got to treat the players different. You got to treat the players different. And I want to see somebody, in the high school level, I want to see these high schools say they're not allowing it. You can't stop people from working. If a person can work at McDonald's, then damn if they can't get paid to play these games. It's the same thing. Same thing. If you're making money and selling tickets off this person's play, then he has every right to get a piece of that or create his own deal. And I'm looking for the high schools to do that and the people to take them to court. They'll win. Because if a child can work at McDonald's, damn if you can't get paid while you playing any level. Any level. Because if they charge, you should get paid. It's just that simple. I mean, all the games I play when the gym is packed and we don't get none of it, and the scholarship ain't worth millions. Let's be real about that. That's what some of these lames talk about. Well, your scholarship is, no, it's not. It's not worth it. And Chris Webber is a prime example. Prime example of this school making millions off him, and what he got a scholarship that's worth, the 2 years he was there, probably $100,000. Yet the school made millions off of him going to the Final Four those 2 years in a row. Right? So the Vikings make it to the Super Bowl. They're going to have Detroit win it in week 18. I don't know if they're good. I mean, Detroit needs the bye more than anybody, but I think they want the game here. I think they want the game here. So we'll see. We'll see. Who's that? Where that homie? You wrote that? I don't know. I think the Vikings beat them twice. I think the Vikings beat them 18 to get the number 1 seed. And then the Vikings going to turn around and beat them if they meet again. So we'll see. Because that's fucked up. You know, you turned into the 5th seed and you play another wild card team, which either team gets that is going to be a kind of good road, because you're going to pay. You're in the 5th seed. You're going to play the 4th seed, right? You're going to play the conference winner of the 4th seed. So it's going to be a pretty, whichever team wins, it's going to be pretty easy road for the Vikings and the Vikings. Both of them going to have a pretty easy road. Oh, they're okay. Let's check this out. Eric Dickerson's record stands firm. Barkley's benched ahead of week 8. He needed 100 and some yards, and they say they're not going to let him play. You see, that's fixed. That's fixed. With 101 yards, they're not going to let him break it because he's got a little injury, so they're holding him out. That's fixed. That's fixed to keep Eric Dickerson because, I mean, Eric Dickerson is one of the stiffest runners of all time. Yeah, he had speed, but he couldn't fake you out worth a damn. He straight up and down, no shiftiness, zero shiftiness. So that's how we know his games was fixed. How does a guy start when he runs straight up and down with no shiftiness? A back got to make people miss. And Herschel Walker, look at Herschel Walker. He was another one. Ran straight up and down. His college games was totally outrunning people. When he won the Heisman in his freshman year, I think he went to the Heisman event but didn't win. He wasn't making people miss. He was exposed in the USFL of being just a straight up runner. Eric Dickerson was the same way. When he played the Cowboys in the NFC Championship, couldn't make people miss. Could not make people miss. So if Eric Dickerson didn't have a lane to run in that could just outrun people, he wasn't making people miss. And that's why I was never impressed with him. I never was impressed with runners that couldn't make people miss. That's to me what a running back's main job is making people miss. Dickerson had none of that. Herschel Walker was even worse. That's why I never really respected his game. And that's why, you know, I don't put Barry Sanders that high. Because Barry Sanders ran backwards. He was the worst backwards runner. Like from the running back position, he's got the most negative yards of all time. The all-time leader is Tom Brady, but again, quarterback drops back. And that's what I hated about Barry Sanders' game. He could make people miss. And that's a great criteria to have. But on the other hand, he would do it to run backwards. And that's what short people tend to do. I've noticed that even in college and high school. Short people tend to run backwards the most. You see bigger dudes that can make people miss. They don't tend to run backwards. Barry Sanders was the champion of running backwards of all time. He still got the record of running backwards. That's why he didn't break the record. Barry Sanders he wasn't smart enough to just fall down. Why take that 5-6 yard loss? Because he's trying to fake everybody. He didn't learn, quit faking people. I mean, no, let me take that back. Understand when to fake people. He never learned that. He just trying to fake, and he didn't care if you had to go backwards to fake. Well, that's hurting your team. All that backwards running hurting your team. And it hurt his career because with all those negative yards, if he just would have fell down, he would have easily been the all-time leading rusher. Easily. But all them negative yards running backwards hurt him. And that's what short dudes tend to do. They tend to want to run backwards and fake everybody back. So that's fucked up about Barkley, that they won't let him break the record. It says Elon Musk, Tesla is investigating the Cybertruck. That's kind of a message to both, though. That's kind of a message to both. Nickel Boys, okay. Well, I wasn't going to stay on here terribly late, y'all. I appreciate it. Vikings make it to the Super Bowl. They're going to have Detroit. Okay, I got that. Let me do, you know what? I'm going to play a little bit of something. Let me find him. I think it's worth listening to. Where we at? Here we go. Where's my man at? Oh, here he is. I'm gonna bring him in.
Go.
And guess I'm gonna get up and stretch for stuff, but I'm gonna bring this brother in. All his stuff is good. Again, this is Ancestor. Let me see. Let me get it right. This is Ancestor Production Online. They took his other channel down. And so I'm gonna let him chop for a few minutes. I think it's worth hearing his stuff. So I get to take a bathroom break and let this brother chop.
Greetings to each and all. I'm back again, and it's been a while, but you see the title, Precognitive News #1. You could look it up. I suspect that is what some of the analysis here is. In any case, I want to point out some data that I'd covered before, some observations I made before, over 2 years ago, with the shift right by the so-called liberal establishment, and it's happening now. And we see it on a prominent way with the St. Huber from the Young Turks has went and broke bread with the racists. He just recently was interviewed with Charlie Kirk. When a person that's supposed to be left goes and makes friends with racists, known documented racists, you're condoning them. He didn't confront him on what he did. It was just, you're legitimizing that. And that makes you the worst kind of racist there is, almost, in my opinion, and that's the soft racism. I did a video a long time ago, last year, the hard truth about soft racism, but exampling Crystal Ball saying some snarky things about black people, even though she's supposed to be putting a front on as if she's liberal, even though their whole channel is more right-leaning also. So there's a whole shift. I suspect it's by design at a larger scale. And yet I still think inevitably, and that's what I'm going to show some of my predictions here, that the pale racist is in a dire condition. And for all the complaints about Trump and how horrible it's going to be and how they're going to bring the racism, the Jim Crow era back, they don't have the numbers and they don't have a populace that's going to tolerate that. It's over for them and they're the last to figure it out. And so and I want to point out also here more recently, Vivek Ramaswamy just got attacked, and these black Indian people like Sagar and Jetty at breaking points, and Vivek Ramaswamy, and I call them black because they come from black people. Most of India, they're black people, regardless of their skin variations. The European racists do not consider them white, and Vivek, well, I mean, here's an example. Look at how they made fun of him and how Donald Trump clowned him when he got out of line. You have the Sagar and Jetty, who I've pointed out before. He's no different. So they can want to be accepted, but it's just never going to happen. And we see this. And what I want to point out here today is how the European is beginning to experience their replacement. As I predicted years ago. Then we had statistics that showed that, but what I'm trying to point out is I said very specifically the kind of things that they were going to experience, and they're starting to find out. They're starting to, the impact of them actually being outnumbered and being a minority. We're getting the first real national level coverage of that, even though it's not being addressed specifically the way that I'm going to address it today. So here we have Vivek Ramaswamy, because there's HB1 visas, for a long story short, that allows immigrants, a lot of them come from India, to come over here and work in the country. And Elon Musk and Vivek and, wealthy business people like to take advantage of their labor. They can get it cheaper. And the mega base doesn't want that. They want no immigration. And Vivek and Elon Musk have tried to rationalize why we should bring those immigrants in. And Vivek is basically what the European, the working class European, your typical redneck racist, they gave the same scenario that they do with black people about pull yourself up by your bootstraps. So what Vivek is doing is he's blaming American culture on the reason why we need the immigrant and intellectuals, because they're better trained, and basically that Americans are lazy, etc. It's the same scenario that they've always said about black people. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps. You see, the Europeans find themselves in the same position within their own, not the Europeans, but the racists, the MAGA people find themselves in the same position now with these business moguls. Vivek is a first generation American. His parents immigrated here. Elon Musk is an immigrant here. So you have the guys that are, one's literally directly foreign with Musk, and then Vivek is brand new. And he's here talking about how their culture needs to improve. American culture needs to improve. Well, the mask came off, and Vivek should have learned a long time ago with this. Oh, wait, here's Sagar over at Breaking Points, who he sits and grovels at the feet of the European, and they're talking about India so bad, and they're clowning Indians, talking about how dirty the streets are. I'm going to go into all that, about how they defecate outside, etc. Just every mean and malicious thing that they could say they did as soon as they got out of line. And yet Sagar still tries to suck up. They suck up to people that are never going to respect them. It's cringy. It's cringy that they do that. But let me get back to my point here. The European is experiencing the same pull yourself up by your boot, the racist European, the working class European. These men are giving the same, it's your culture. It's your fault why you can't make it and can't get hired and don't meet the educational requirements that are needed by these tech companies. It's American culture. That is the problem. You don't work hard enough is the problem. It's exactly the same rhetoric that they use for black people, they've used for black people all these years, not taking anything else into account. And there was blowback for this. And I don't know that, but here, Due Dissidents, I watch them sometimes, and they made this comment. This is about what took place, how the wealthy look at regular working class Americans, no matter what their color are. And he says, notice Vivek has essentially the same contempt for American culture as the Davos people. The billionaire class, we're all useless eaters. We exist only to serve them. To Elon, Vivek, Klaus Schwab, and Bill Gates, we're all the same. And to us, they should all be the same. So, I mean, you can read the Vivek part there. But yeah, the ultra wealthy don't look at us as human beings. They don't care what color you are, you see. And then the Republican Party is they're being surrounded. They're experiencing the great replacement in which they're the minorities. And now they're talking about they should have a right. Now they want DEI for themselves, basically, by saying they don't want these HB1 immigrants coming. I think it's exploitive anyways, but by them saying they don't want them coming, they're demanding DEI for themselves. These same racists that say that we're not supposed to have DEI for black people. And what it reminds me of is I quoted a long time ago, I still can't remember the name of the professor, a Latino man in Florida, but it was one of the best comments I've heard, and those of you that have been here, you've heard me say it several times. But he was explaining, he said that the racist Europeans should support affirmative action because they're going to need it. And this is an example of that, because they're going to need it. Yes, these brown people are coming in and taking your jobs. Another thing they're overlooking that they're not paying attention to is the fact that we need immigration anyways. In order for the infrastructure of the country to stay even at baseline, we need immigration. And guess what? European immigrants aren't possible because there are not enough of them in the population. They're below replacement level. These are all things I've talked about. But we're going to take a look at it again today. So here's where Elon Musk hopped in, and here's Sagar and Jetty wants to be pale, and they're talking about his country like a dog, how the slums, everything. How they smell. I mean, all the anti-Indian hate came to the surface. All of it came to the surface. They got on J.D. Vance's wife, all that. See, these vehement, hateful racists. But what hopefully they're starting to see, which has to horrify them, is that they're outnumbered even in their own party. J.D. Vance's wife is from India. There are black constituents all throughout the Republican Party now. All of that. The noose is tightening. Believe that. They are a minority. The racist ones more so than anybody. They are a minority. Their way of life is over. Them being the main character is over. How long have I said it? Over. And as I've said before, it's a matter of how.
All right. If you want to catch the rest of that, that's Ancestral Productions. It's about I played 9 minutes of 37 minutes. So subscribe to that, brother. But I wanted to give you a little of that from him. It's funny, he copies my European, but I've kind of got that spread. But now it's not European anymore. It's occupiers. I mean, it doesn't matter that this country's been occupied for 400 years. It's been occupied. And just because you go in and conquer a country, it's still, you've conquered the country. Do you understand? So that still makes you an occupier. They conquered the country. That doesn't still make it your own. They treat it like it's your own. And let's not forget what the conquering European did is how they killed the trees, and the land paid them back by having the Dust Bowls. Said that, multiple times. And so they don't really own this country. They've taken it over, but they're still, and I think, it's like magic does play a part in all this. And they've had very wicked magic, but you see their magic is waning. And so it's like, you look at Planet of the Apes, the original Planet of the Apes. People always thought the black folks was the apes. That's not what they're showing you. They're showing you that Darwin shit, that they was the apes. And they was the apes that saw the other people's technology. Again, Neanderthals. They're Neanderthals. They say melanated people don't have Neanderthals in them. But Europeans are Neanderthals that looked at others' technology. And that's what Planet of the Apes is telling you. And it also tells you the other part. Their real God is their army. We always think it's money and wealth. No, it's the army. That's their God. Because in the Planet of the Apes, the original one from 68, they show the people that live in the basement with the atomic bomb. They look at that's who they worship. They really worship those bombs. And as I've said before, what the movie shows is they would rather kill people. They would rather kill people. They would rather try to blow up the world or blow up America or contaminate America if they wasn't in charge. If they couldn't make money off it, they would kill everybody before they would let other people be in power or give the country back to its original owners, which, yes, it's people here like me that's original people here. And, the natives can say they've been here 6,000-7,000 years too. And I'm related to them people, the Omics, that came up the coast, came in the middle of the country, came up the other coast. Now, remember, when the Vikings came, we kicked their ass. With the same technology, we kicked their ass. That's why, I've said many, many nights, that Cortez story's got to be a lie. That ain't really what happened. There's something else that happened. There's no way Cortez won the way they glorify it. And again, the victor writes the story. It's no way. It's no way that 500 men conquered hundreds of millions of people. It's just no way. How did they sleep? I've said that over and over again. How were they able to sleep? If I send an army at a motherfucker, I'm attacking you constantly. How are you getting away from that? I don't care if you got cannons. I don't care what. You got cannons and swords. And then armor made no sense. How they fighting in a tropic paradise with armor on? And he might say, well, they were in Spain and it's kind of warm in some parts of Spain, but not like it is in the equator. Not like it is in Mexico, in South America. It's not as hot. So how did they do it? So the stories are unbelievable. It's not believable. Something else happened. Something else happened. Now, did the aliens help them back then? I mean, it's not the story that they tell us. That the story they tell us makes no sense, and it glorifies them. We was just able to bring 500 men into the country and conquer the whole countries, South America and Mexico. So does that story make sense to you? That 500 men, again, if I've got 15,000 men, and I don't care, they got bow and arrows, what they got, and they got minor cannons, it's no way. You're going to run out of cannonballs eventually. I ain't running out of people. I ain't running out of people. You telling me that them people could fight for years? One battle, they could fight every day? Out there swording and shit? I mean, think about that. That you telling me that for years they was able to just sword. You telling me that the opposing army was like, oh, let's just go back and not. No. If you go to war with people, you try to kill them until all of them are gone. So if they got 500 men and I've got 15,000 men, I'm attacking them until my last man. And just the sheer numbers, you would kill them. And again, when they went into Mexico City and they came out, they said there was 30 men left. And he had to leave and go get more boats and bring 500 more men. So I hope you enjoy it. Well, that's about all I got. Oh, no, I'm going to do the divination. Divination from the Mayan, and this is called the Mayan Factor. Path Beyond Technology. And you can tell I've used this book a lot. All right, we are day 15. Oh, let me read it all out. Where are we at? So we've got 13 Batoon, the true date. The true date that's been kept in America is 13 Batoon, 0 Katuns. We've got 12 tunes, 3 Unuls, and 15 kin. The token day is 5 men. And the Habib date is 18 Kanik. And the night god is night god number 3. And they call it number 3 because they can't translate it. Just like they can't translate the Omen or the Omek. And so day 15 is men or eagle. Right here. And the Mayan quick little meaning is ego, higher collective mind, planetary mind, and consciousness. And the energy from today is coming from the West. And what that means is, that's why I give thanks when I start on the directions, because there are certain days that direction you can pull energy from it. So it's almost like you could pray into that direction and pull some energy out of it. And remember, the Mayan calendar goes back billions of years. They've got tallies that they've calculated the dates, and it goes back. So we know it's one of the oldest civilizations. Nothing in Europe is that old. And you see what they're trying to do. See, the Europeans really have no history. So that's why they always want to pull on these Mediterranean. They want to make the Mediterranean history their history. The Greeks, the Romans. All right, let's go. Romans, Greeks, Commetans. That's why they push those so much. Because they try to say that that's them in a way. Well, these are people from Mediterranean. We know the people in Kemet was melanated people, but Mediterranean people tend to be melanated too, especially years ago. But that's who they identify with, and that's why they want that history. And we know history's been changed. It's just like, we just went through Christmas and Santa Claus. If you look at Saint Nicholas was a brother. So how did Saint Nicholas go from being a brother from Turkey to being a fat European dude? Make that make sense. You took a Saint Nicholas that wore green, and now the fat man is dressed more like the devil. That's why it's the Satan Santa. But how did you go from that? From a person that wore green to all of a sudden a person wearing blood red? Do you see how they corrupted a very beautiful man that would give the poor money and really didn't want him to know? He would just open a window and throw gold in the room. Then they started having the thing of where they would leave the shoes out. It wasn't stockings, it was shoes. And he would put money in the shoes. He's a very charitable man, and he's a saint. So how did a saint turn into the devil? Santa Satan. How did this saint become a devil? that drinks Coke. You know? How many movies have you seen about melanated Saint Nick? Saint Nick is even, you know, they copy his name. They shorten his name from Saint Nicholas to Saint Nick. And again, Saint Nick is Kris Kringle. So do you see how they copy? You know, Europeans never started any religion. And I'm not bashing, that's just a fact. You haven't started any religion. No religion came out of Egypt or out of Europe. Not any. The Romans copied the Catholics come from Africa. All that shit comes from Africa. Middle East, which is still basically part of Africa. And technically, what do they call Europe? It ain't even really a real continent. Europe is not a continent. They call itself a continent, so you think that they're on a big thing of land, but most of them countries is landlocked. If you think about it, they're landlocked, so they don't qualify for continents because they're landlocked. I mean, look at Europe, England. England is an island, bunch of islands. So how is England and Europe part of a continent when England is an island? So it just shows you how they corrupt everything. And it's not an individual thing. It's a group thing. It's the elites. That's what we're talking about. That's why they teach you the elites in history class or in government. That's one word. That's the first word. One of the first words you learn in government is elites. And the thing that he was just talking about, the elites is fighting amongst each other. Because you got the mega people saying, wait a minute, you say all these motherfuckers need to go. But you got Musk and them saying, well, you need to keep these smart people because that's where the smartest people come from. Which is not true. They set aside and bring them over. It's people in America could do them jobs. And like, if you really look, if integration never happened and the black ran cities was left alone, I mean, like I was telling my wife, brothers invented the cell phone. And my wife was like, well, it took Europeans more than likely to get them the raw materials. That ain't true. They act like they the only ones that can get these raw materials. They ain't. They're not. Raw materials it's materials to make cell phones in America. So there's a bunch of things. It was another dude, a brother that invented the telephone too. His patent was like 3 or 4 of his patent came out around the same time with the telephones. There's a brother, and it was another dude in England, and it was Bell. And Bell got his patent in before the other two. But remember, to get a patent, all you got to do is show it works. And so there's a brother in America that invented a phone. And remember, Benjamin Banneker invented a wooden clock that ran for years. So if left alone, and I've told you about the reality I've been in, where brothers was left alone and this fake history never came, how the country would really be, and we'd be separate. We'd share some of the land with the European occupiers. We would share the land with them. We stayed in a power position and we did give them some of the lands, but it was always separate. Where they lived was always pockets of separate land. Wasn't the thing like the John Travolta movie where if we were in charge, we would act like them. That's why when I played a young brother, that's the thing. It's like you were mad about the melanated people going to overpass you. And something that the brother talks about 2043 is when they're officially predicting they'll be the minimum people on the country, the minorities. Because the birth just ain't happening. It ain't happening in Europe, and it's not happening over here. They just not having enough children. Look how many European people you know. Look how many occupying people that you physically know, and look how many children they have. 1 maybe. I mean, I personally have 7 children. My brother has 7 children. Melanated people, and don't talk about Mexican folks, Latino folks. They still believe in big families. When's the last time you saw Europeans with big families with more than 1 or 2 children? They just don't do it anymore. And so that's the other part why they want to blend in. They want to blend. And they've always changed. Like we look at what the occupier, the European calls, again, they've always changing changing the roles. Jewish faith people were never white. That's why, manipulation, and that's why they align with black folks. Italians was another group of people. It's Italians darker than me. Never considered white. Polacks, Slavs. They are not Anglo-Saxon Protestants. When they say white, that's who they talking about. Anglo-Wops, Anglo-Saxon Protestants. That's who they consider. People from Germany, Sweden, England. And those small countries, that's who they talking about. They never included them other people. Polish people, they never included them. As I said, I've been trying to find, I had a Time magazine from 93 and 94. And it showed who was white and who wasn't considered white. And Jewish faith people definitely, but now Jewish people call themselves white. Last 5 years, last 10 years. And they were never that. Italians the same way. Motherfucker, it was some movie where they hit the dude with what are they hitting with? The reason why you're Italian so dark because Hannibal was in your country for 20 years. An Italian dude gets mad in the motherfucker. Oh, okay. So in the Totec, the car is basically still eagle. And you see up top, you see the eagle up top. Let me see, get that right. All right. Don't be afraid of how high you can fly. No matter how high, flying is in your fate. Haven't you discovered yet from the day you were born, you are a beautiful spirit, has been made of the heights. Native people of the American continent left so much fascination for the eagle that without doubt is the number one sacred animal among them. The ancient Toltec were no exception. For them, the eagle was a classic representation of evaluation in every possible sense. The admiration for the eagles was related to the admiration for the sun, which was considered sacred governor of the worlds. This powerful bird is the most important Toltec symbol, the one that defines the essence of their culture, their soul. As we have explained in earlier chapters, Quetzalcoatl is a fusion of the eagle and the serpent, which flies and crawls, unites to make possible the sacred evolution. Nothing has to be killed, as in the Aztec symbols where we see the eagle killing the serpent. For the Aztec, the eagle is a symbol of their military orientation. It was the cult of the sun defeating the other cult. For the Toltec, the eagle is not the enemy of the serpent. On the contrary, they're united and one cannot exist without the other. Each word, serpent, eagle, has the same root, ko and ka. That is why the placement of the calendar symbol of the Tapananali, eagle and serpent, stay across from each other by being located in numbers 5 and numbers 15. As we see, far from being the enemy of the serpent is hidden potential. It's the promise of evolution. In the card image, we see the eagle warrior. We know this is the feather on his head. He is painted in black together with the red and the colors of knowledge. Being painted black signifies his reunification of the mundane world, his dedication to the quest of the spirit. The eagle card represents the freedom of evolution from what is low through your own effort. Getting the eagle card means that you need to and can elevate yourself for whatever is oppressing you, no matter how low you think you are. The freedom that the eagle spirit portrays is a self-liberation process that isn't directed against any enemy. The only real enemy is your attachment to action, situation, and habits that give us no life. But then when we remain attached to it out of fear of trying something new, the eagle's voice says, you can stop the habit that is killing you now. You can leave that person who does not respect you now. You have a job that is killing your spirit. You can start living the life that your spirit longs for. You can stop hurting your body by eating in a way that you know isn't good for you. You can leave behind the physical and emotional addiction that sustains your false mask of weakness. You can change all those things now. You are much stronger than you have ever imagined. This is the elevation of the eagle represents. The barriers to a better life has always been inside you, and inside is the first place where you should overcome them. Inner change will express an action that would empower your life and your world. Be aware that the evolution of the ego doesn't happen through fighting against what crawls. It is a transmutation into something higher. Physically and spiritually means that you will achieve your evolution through your passion of flying and not through fighting with the negative parts of yourself. When you consider to be the negative parts of going to be transmuted by your search for evolution. Instead of thinking in terms of destroying the parts of yourself or life that gives you trouble, does you no good. Think about transmuting them. First, try to determine the good that you are trying to achieve through your mistaken behavior. Look behind the action and ask yourself, what good am I trying to achieve through this behavior that is important to me? Whatever you find, keep asking the same question. If you get to the bottom of your motivations, you will find out that you are looking for something positive even in your most negative behavior. Think about teenagers who go to the beach to get drunk and leave the place full of trash, then risk their lives by drunk driving. It's an example of destructive behavior, but at the bottom of their hearts, they are looking most likely, without knowing, to make it a connection with something higher that they provide stability and sense of security for their souls. They do not know it, but they yearn for the Great Spirit as much as any other being. This is just a better way. The message is, find the seed of the good hidden in your negative behavior and fly with it to a better way to achieve the good in your life. So, let me see. Vikings make. What is the best running backs? The best running back of all time is Gale Sayers, hands down. Now, I'm not talking about the most durable sitting records, but again, to me, a running back is you got to make people miss, as I said earlier. And if you can't make people miss, you weren't a great. And Emmitt Smith really had a little of that. He wasn't the greatest, but the greatest running back is Gale Sayers, hands down. And I mean, the greatest person to make people miss is Gale Sayers. Nobody was elusive as Gale Sayers. No one. Not Barry, not anybody. And remember, Jim Brown was pretty much a straight up runner too. Jim Brown wasn't making people miss like that. That's why I like Emmitt Smith, because Emmitt Smith would make people miss. He could run through arm tackles, but he could make people miss. You didn't see that with Jim Brown. Jim Brown wasn't making nobody miss. He's just outrunning people. Same with Eric Dickerson. They wasn't making people miss. Now I put OJ in there pretty high too, because OJ, as I said before, OJ was, he had the rare ability to run sideways full speed. So he could turn his body away from everybody and hit that hole where you didn't have a clean way to tackle him. And so OJ is up there too, because of that ability that I haven't seen anybody else have. I haven't seen anybody else have that ability to run with your shoulders sideways, but run full speed. Haven't seen anybody else that could do that other than Gale Sayers. So, you know, if you look at the criteria, who is make people miss, and you know, it's like even Hugh McElhenney was better than Emmitt Smith, better than Jim Brown. Now, durable, probably not the most durable, but Hugh McElhenney is one of the most shiftiest backs of all the old times backs. He's probably passed a bunch of them. Far as shiftiness is Hugh McElhenney. Played with San Francisco and played with the Vikings when the Vikings first started in 1960. Was Hugh McElhenney. And again, that's to me a key. Reggie Bush, again, making people miss. That's the key is who a true running back makes people miss, not just outruns people. You actually make people miss. That's the ability you got to have, is make that first person miss consistently. Make the first person miss consistently. And there was no one better than Gale Sayers. That's why they hurt him on purpose. Remember, Gale Sayers should own the most touchdowns with 7. And they didn't give it to him because they had the ball down there again and they didn't give it to him. Again, like they do in Barkley, not letting him break the record. And that's what they do. They try to take away your greatness, your legacy. But I mean, shit, what's his name? Adrian, damn, really old man. But Adrian Peterson was 9 yards from the record. And you telling me they couldn't have got him the record? He was 9 yards. So the record, 2,105. Adrian Peterson, something was like 97, 98, 2,097, 98. He was 8 or 9 yards from breaking the record. So that means they didn't let him break the record. They didn't let him get that immortality. Same way Gale Sayers. He should be the only player with 7 touchdowns. Because the game he scored 6, they were on the goal line again and they gave it to some European dude. So that's to me the best. Now again, most durable, probably Emmitt Smith is probably the most durable. I mean, he didn't really tear up his knees. I mean, people forget O.J. Simpson had something like 30, 40 surgeries. That was like, the thing of him massively killing these people. And if you watch the film of him that day when his daughter jumps up in his arms, almost knocks him down. So you telling me that this man could build up enough adrenaline to overtake two people with just a knife that has extremely bad legs, and you could see his balance wasn't great. But all of a sudden, he's strong enough to just cut one lady's head off and stab another one. Come on now. So OJ's high up there too. And Emmitt Smith is high because Emmitt was tough. Emmitt was probably one of the best ones to hit the holes and push hands away or breaking arm tackles. You got to give it to Emmitt. And again, the other guy in Chicago would be Walter Payton. Walter Payton was probably the most complete running back ever that could do it all in the modern T formation, not a wing back. Because Walter Payton could do it all. Walter Payton was one of the best blocking running backs of all time. Where it was like motherfuckers didn't like to blitz him because they know he would block the shit out of them. Barry Sanders never liked to block. Selfish, never liked to block. If a motherfucker blitzed Barry Sanders, he falling on the ground. He ain't blocking. Hell, Barry Sanders didn't even like catching screens. Walter Payton could throw the ball, speed, make motherfuckers miss, run through arm tackles. So Walter Payton's high up there too. As I said, Eric Dickerson wasn't a complete football player. He wouldn't block. He tells a story where it was a motherfucker blitzed and shit, and motherfucker knocked the shit out of him. He's like, yeah, I'm not blocking no more. So those are my top ones. So my top running back of all time is definitely Gale Sayers because it's making people miss. I would put Walter Payton number 2. I put Emmitt number 3. I put Hugh McElhenney number 4 of him making people miss. He's in the Hall of Fame too, but he making people miss. Other than Gale Sayers, Hugh McElhenney is number 2 of making people miss. And I don't know if you guys ever seen any film on him. Let me see if I can find some film on Hugh McElhenney. I don't feel like looking for how long I've been on. Oh, I'm over 2 hours, so yeah. But look up Hugh McElhenney, and you'll see what I mean of making people shiftiness and making people miss. And not like stop and start. A lot of people stop. No, not that. I mean truly, making people miss. And that's why Walter Payton is so high, because complete football player. I mean, really a complete football player that liked to block, liked to catch passes, And like, look at the backs now, won't even leap over the line. That is one of the most unstoppable plays for a back, is to leap over the line to get a touchdown. Randall Cunningham's brother, Sam the Bam Cunningham, probably the best ever at that. He killed Alabama. The first time Alabama allowed a team with brothers to play in, Tuscaloosa, Alabama? Randall Cunningham's brother gave him that work. And Bear Bryant wanted the people down there to see if you put brothers on your team, what happened. He was trying to wake them rednecks up down there. Saying, well, you better let me have some of these, because this is what will happen to us if we don't get some of these. If you can dig that. You dig, if you can dig that. So that's my list. Best receivers, the dude who I played against in college is Jerry Rice. Hands down. I mean, speed, elusiveness, route running. That's probably, they don't even look at his routes. I mean, he was one of the greatest route runners. I mean, really, really like he would, like if he ran a post, he would break, like once he's hitting you, when he would break for that post, probably nobody was quicker with their feet, and the cuts. His cuts were so natural, like his stride of running, almost unmatched making the cuts. So by far the best receiver because of the route running. I mean, one of the greatest route runners of all times. I mean, if you want somebody to study a route runner, study Jerry Rice. If you want a young person, to study a person running routes, study Jerry Rice, because he was one of the best route runners that was fast. The best tight end probably goes into Gates from Kent State. Gates is probably one of the best tight ends ever. His run of playing tight end was just unmatched as a pass catcher and a good blocker. So I hope he makes the Hall of Fame. I don't know if he got cut. Maybe he's not still considered. I haven't looked at it. Now, if we look at the best fullback of all time, it's probably Jim Brown. Because that's what people forget about. Jim Brown wasn't a halfback. He was a fullback. So when Jim Brown was in the pro set, you know, Jim Brown never ran out of the I. He always ran in the pro set, back side by side. And weak side was always, and see, if you want to understand how pro set works is, the fullback is going to be on the strength side. So the fullback is going to be on the tight end side. The halfback would be the other side. So if you got it in the pro set, that's the difference. Now, when you run an I, you got the fullback in front, the halfback behind you. But Jim Brown never ran out of that. He always ran out of a pro set. So he would have been that person on the strength side. So he was probably the best fullback, better than Jim Taylor for sure. So, but that's just my opinion. Well, guys, thank you for coming. I appreciate it. It's interesting. What am I going to do on Wednesdays when I can't call out the scores? Because that's coming. This is the last week. But I'll still probably come on Wednesday and prophesize, you know. And I guess I'll end it here. I should always prophesize. People tell me they do like my prophesizing. So I guess I end it with, as the cards say, being the eagle. One thing that really is going to help you in life is if you know yourself. I mean, really know yourself. Because so often we lie to ourselves. We're not realistic to ourselves. And so don't lie to yourself. Hey, PJ Allen, what's happening? Looked like you had a hell of a party last night.
You can't get too close to Michael. It's a foul.
Thank you for joining, bro. I appreciate it. I don't think I saw you earlier. And so know yourself. I mean, I preach two things: know yourself and know your own voice in your head, and know when other voices are coming in so you can block them out. And it's like tonight, I'm wearing this one instead of wearing the diamonds. I'm wearing the fire agates. Ooh. And the fire agate is one of the strongest protection rings there's out there, because a fire agate would actually take the negative energy and send it back into person, and make the person wonder, why did he even send the negative energy at you? And as I said before, silver it takes the crystal down to its quantum form and reminds the crystal what its purpose. And ask the crystal to give the person that is with everything you got. Everything you got. You know, that's what it asks. The crystal says, the silver says to gold, give this person everything you got. He picked you, he chose you, he felt a connection with you, so give him everything you got. And that's why, you know, I wear a silver necklace, you know, with the crystals in here, the zoolites, and the zoolites are healing. I need, you know, a lot of healing now. I'm about to bust out the Motivite and start wearing the Motivite again, but because the Motivite does help with the mind, just like shungite helps with the mind. I drink shungite water every day. And I've said before, the She Legit, you know, if you having problems with your stuff, that She Legit definitely is a helpful. You eat a pea-shaped little bit of it every day. You never have any problem. I'm 63 and I got a 50-year-old woman. My wife's 53. So, you know, no problems in that area. I ain't never like they, you know, like Richard Pryor says, when somebody say, when the last time you got some, if you go, no, it should be, well, a day or two ago, last night. So it should be, you know, be like, well, yeah, last yesterday, day before, something like that. So, or Cheek and Chong say, get it up, just can't get it in. All right, y'all, I'm gonna go. Oh, let me, I guess I'll philosophize a little more. As I was on the thing of believing in yourself, it's like you know, too often people, and that's the problem with faith. With faith, it's asking you to believe in something outside of you. That's the key to all faith. is to believe in something outside of you. You say you take it. Yeah, I remember you said that before. I do too. I got to order some more. Matter of fact, I'm gonna order some more. I like it because you ordered that day and it comes that day. You order that day, it comes from Amazon that day. And so that's the problem with all religions. It doesn't matter which one it is. It is asking you to believe in things outside of you when everyone knows the power is within you. All the power is within you. Because we all are truly gods in the sense that we are creators and we can create. It's like when you go into the ethers, you meditate, you start becoming a creator. When you start seeing these colors, you have to realize you're creating this, especially when you're moving through the purples. But when you first get into it, everything you're seeing, you are creating all those bubbles, all those waves. It's just you are observing it now, but you're creating all that, all those gases around you. You are creating that when you get into your own mind. You become the creator. And so, you have to believe in you. You have to believe in you. You have to love yourself. Before you can love anybody else, you got to love yourself. So I am Big Pontiac, your host. Thank you for coming. Whoever watches this in the future, I appreciate it. Ancestor Protection, I hope you don't mind me showing your stuff. Go subscribe to him. What is it? I am so old man tonight. Read My Soul.